The containment facility on Station Kepler 9 had never been breached, not once in its 47 years of operation. Captain Arlen took pride in that record, his chest swelling whenever dignitaries toured the reinforced corridors. The station housed the galaxy's most dangerous specimens, predators from worlds where evolution had gone mad with teeth and claws. Today, that record meant nothing. Stand back. Captain Arlen's voice boomed through the emergency speakers, his hand hovering over the plasma rifle's trigger. The three Vrexian cubs ignored him completely, their 6 eyes fixed on the human woman crouched in the corner of the observation deck. Lyra sat perfectly still, her back against the transparent aluminum wall. She'd been cataloging plant samples when the containment breach alarm shrieked to life. Now, 3 juvenile predators, each the size of a small hover car, circled her with deliberate steps. Their chitinous plates clicked with each movement, a sound that had preceded the deaths of entire colonial expeditions. I repeat, stand back, Arlen shouted again, his Kralaxian vocal cords vibrating with the authority that had commanded fleets. Every species in the known galaxy recognized that tone. It was the voice of dominance, of hierarchy, of absolute power. The cubs moved closer to Lyra. Arlen's 3 fingers tightened on the weapon. Protocol was clear. Vrexian cubs were Class 7 threats. They'd already killed 2 guards during the breach, experienced soldiers who'd faced down pirates and insurgents. He should fire. Every regulation, every training simulation, every survival instinct screamed at him to pull the trigger. But the human hadn't moved, hadn't screamed, hadn't even flinched. Captain, his second officer hissed through the comm. We have a clean shot. Authorization to hold fire, Arlen growled, though he couldn't explain why. The largest cub lowered its head, serrated mandibles spreading wide enough to engulf Lyra's torso. Its throat sac pulsed with the bioluminescent patterns that preceded a killing strike. Arlen had seen the pattern once before, in combat footage from the Vrexian incursion. 5 seconds after that pulse, the soldier recording had been torn in half. Lyra whispered something. The cub's head tilted. Its rear legs, powerful enough to puncture battle armor, bent slightly. The killing pulse faded. What is she doing? Arlen breathed. Through the transparent wall, he watched the human extend her hand. Slowly. Not retreating, not attacking. Just offering. The gesture meant nothing in Vrexian body language. It should have triggered their predatory instincts. The cub pressed its armored snout against her palm. Impossible, Arlen muttered. His datapad showed the cub's biometric readings spiking, but not with aggression. With curiosity, with something that looked disturbingly like trust. The second cub approached, its claws scraping deep gouges in the deck plating. Lyra's other hand rose, moving with the same impossible calm. She touched its shoulder plate, her fingers tracing the ridges that marked it as the runt of the litter. It's okay, Lyra said, her voice barely audible through the emergency speakers. It's okay. The words were in standard galactic, not Vrexian. The translation matrix shouldn't work on creatures whose communication was primarily pheromonal and postural. Yet the third cub, which had been circling for a flanking position, stopped mid-stride. Its hunting crouch relaxed into something Arlen had never seen in 30 years of xenobiology. The cub sat down. Captain, what are your orders? His tactical officer sounded as confused as Arlen felt. He should order the kill shot, should flood the chamber with knockout gas, should do anything except watch a 1.7-meter human somehow pacify 3 of the deadliest juvenile predators ever catalogued. But Lyra was standing now, her movements fluid and unhurried. The cubs tracked her with those 6 terrible eyes, but their killing plates remained flat, their throat sacs dark. She walked toward the emergency exit, toward Arlen's position, and the cubs followed. Not stalking. Following. Open the secondary containment, Arlen ordered, his military training warring with every instinct that screamed this was wrong. Sir? Now! The reinforced doors hissed open. Lyra stepped through and the cubs bounded after her like, Arlen's mind struggled with the comparison, like domestic animals. Like pets. She guided them into the secondary chamber with gestures and soft words. When the last cub entered, she looked up at Arlen's position and nodded once. He slammed his hand on the containment control, and the doors sealed with a pneumatic thump. Silence filled the command deck. Arlen descended to the observation level, his weapon still drawn but feeling absurd in his grip. Lyra leaned against the wall, finally allowing herself to shake. How? Arlen demanded. We've studied Vrexian behavior for decades. They don't respond to verbal commands. They don't form attachments outside their matriarch's pheromone signature. They certainly don't. They were scared, Lyra interrupted, her voice steadier than it had any right to be. Separated from their mother in a strange place, surrounded by sounds and smells they'd never encountered. They weren't hunting. They were terrified. Arlen stared at the cubs through the observation glass. They'd huddled together, their armored bodies forming a defensive cluster, scared. The word felt alien applied to creatures that had evolved to be apex predators on a death world where even the plants fought back. You spoke to them like children, Arlen said slowly. Because they are children. Lyra met his gaze, and Arlen saw something in her eyes that made his military decorations feel suddenly hollow. You demanded they stand back. You use dominance, threat, fear. That's not what scared children need. And what do they need? Someone to tell them it's okay. Lyra pushed off from the wall, heading toward the medical bay. Even if it's not true yet. Especially if it's not true yet. Arlen watched her go, then looked back at the cubs. The largest one, the one that had nearly killed her, had its head resting on the runt's shoulder plating. A protective gesture, a family gesture, 47 years without a breach, and a human had ended it not with superior firepower or brilliant tactics, but with 2 words and an extended hand. Captain Arlen updated his report, then paused before submitting it. He added a single note to the Vrexian containment protocols. When dealing with juveniles, consult human specialists first. Authorization, Captain Arlen, Station Commander. The galaxy had much to learn about humans, he thought. And perhaps much to learn from them. Even the deadliest predators, it seemed, could recognize kindness when they saw it.